It was nearly 8:30 in the evening when Rudy finally closed his laptop, ran a hand through his short, slightly messy hair, and leaned back in his squeaky desk chair. The day had been long, filled with the usual tasks at his office job: spreadsheets, phone calls, polite conversation with coworkers. But none of those responsibilities carried the weight of what he was about to do next. For weeks, he had hovered over dozens of online shopping websites, reading and rereading reviews, measuring and second-guessing every number. Now, every fiber in his body buzzed with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. He was about to buy his first skirt. Rudy was 27, tall, with broad shoulders and an athletic build that came from occasional weekend basketball games. He had always lived according to the comfortable norms around him: jeans, t-shirts, sneakers. Yet something nudged him in a different direction one night while he scrolled through an online forum. He had grown curious. Countless posts from others just like him, guys who had tried wearing skirts, spoke about feeling a sense of easy comfort. They recommended all sorts of styles, from maxi skirts to pleated uniform skirts. But the one that kept surfacing was a simple, affordable skater skirt made of a poly blend fabric. He started by reading random testimonies. "If you're a men's 32 waist, go for a women's L," or "I'm a men's 36 waist, and the XXL fit me perfectly." Each comment mentioned something called the twirl factor, which made Rudy chuckle every time. It sounded whimsical, almost childlike, a swirling sensation of the fabric around the legs. One post in particular grabbed his attention. "Skater skirts are a great starter piece. They're comfortable, they fit a range of body types, and they have a fun shape." That was how he ended up measuring himself after dinner. With the tape snug around his waist, he whispered, "Please be right." He jotted down the number, 34 inches at his waist, and cross-checked it with the measurement table that the website provided. The verdict: Women's XL. Another user confirmed that sizing by mentioning the brand's somewhat smaller fit, so it was wise to order one size up if you lingered between two. Rudy hovered his cursor over the color choices. Did he dare go with bright pink? Maybe black would be safer. Eventually, he chose a navy blue one with discreet pleats near the hem. It looked like it would hit just above his knees, exactly as reviewers promised. Before he could rethink it, he confirmed the order. The swirl of excitement inside his stomach startled him, so he quickly closed the tab, wondering if he had made a colossal mistake. The days that followed were filled with an anxious bounce between excitement and worry. After his morning shower, he would look at himself in the mirror, trying to imagine how the skirt might fit. "Does the shape of my legs even match what I see in all those photos?" he thought. When he was at work, he'd glance at his phone to see if the tracking information had updated. Every day that passed brought the package closer, and with each step, his mind churned through possible outcomes. What if it was too small? What if it was embarrassingly large? What if it just made him look ridiculous? He confided in Milo, one of his closest friends, over coffee. Milo was a cheerful guy, 28, with a background in marketing. "Listen, Rudy," Milo said, taking a deliberate sip from his cappuccino. "You've been overthinking this. If you don't like it, you can return it. No harm done." "Yeah, but," Rudy began, "it's not just about the fit. It's about the entire idea." Milo sighed gently, empathy showing in his eyes. "I get that. But remember, you're doing it for your own reasons. You don't have to justify it to anyone. It's just a piece of clothing." "It feels like more than that," Rudy admitted. "I mean, I'm excited, but I'm also nervous." Milo shrugged in a supportive way. "Nervous energy means it matters to you. Let me know how it feels once you try it on." Rudy gave his friend a grateful nod. It didn't solve all his anxieties. but it was reassuring to share the secret with someone who didn't judge him. When the tracking link finally showed delivered, Rudy walked from his office to his small studio apartment with an extra pep in his step. He fiddled with his keys, nearly dropped them, then managed to unlock the door on his second attempt. There on the floor was a package, a plain gray mailer bag with his name on it. He set his briefcase aside, shrugged out of his jacket, and placed the package gingerly on the kitchen counter. "Here goes," he muttered. With a pair of scissors, he carefully cut the seal. The plastic parted to reveal a neat fold of navy blue fabric. Rudy's heart hammered in his chest. He slipped out the garment, a simple, unadorned skater skirt with an elastic waistband. He let the fabric glide between his fingers. It felt smooth, with just a slight stretch. It wasn't the highest quality weave, but it wasn't as flimsy as he had feared. "All right," he whispered, rubbing the back of his neck. He kicked off his loafers and took a moment to gather his courage. He retreated to his bedroom. Standing in his socks, t-shirt, and jeans, he stared at himself in the mirror. His reflection seemed to ask, "You ready?" He unbuttoned and slid off the jeans. Then he pulled the skirt up, aligning the waistband at what he had measured as his natural waist. A jolt of relief and surprise coursed through him. It fit, snug but not tight. The length hit right where he'd hoped, a few inches above the knee. He turned from side to side, then lifted the hem slightly to see how the inside lining was sewn. He turned again, more fluidly, and that was when he felt the fabric swirl around his thighs. He blinked, smothering a grin. The effect was immediate. "The twirl factor," he said softly, letting the skirt flare out a bit. He hadn't expected such a light, airy sensation. When his phone buzzed, he took a moment to gather himself, adjusting the skirt's hem before checking the screen. It was Milo texting. "Package arrive yet?" Rudy typed a quick reply. "Yep, wearing it now. Surprised how nice it feels." He looked back in the mirror, noticing how his broad shoulders contrasted with the gentle flare of the skirt. There was something about that look, casual t-shirt, flared skirt, sports socks, that felt oddly right. He pivoted from foot to foot, letting the fabric swish. That was the moment he realized how comfortable it all was. His legs felt free, unconstrained. There was no stifling friction around his thighs. The material draped lightly. He took a few experimental steps across the room, heading out into the living area with the skirt swaying. Part of him feared that once he saw his reflection in a different mirror or a different light, he'd change his mind. But each reflection only confirmed that the piece fit well. He even ventured to do a playful spin on the hardwood floor. A soft laugh escaped his lips. For a full hour, he wandered the apartment in the skirt, preparing a sandwich, fiddling with the living room curtains, checking a few emails on his laptop. Each daily task became a novelty, thanks to the fresh feeling of the cloth brushing his legs. Eventually, he curled up on the couch with his phone to dive into the online forum where he'd first heard about the garment. He typed out a post. "Hey everyone, I finally took the plunge and bought my first skirt, the navy blue skater one that so many of you recommended. The size chart was on point, men's 34 waist, EOS women's XL. Fits me perfectly. It sits right above my knees and has a surprising twirl factor. Definitely more comfortable than I expected. Thanks for the recommendation." He wasn't sure how many people would see it, but it felt good to share that small triumph with the community that had helped him. By the time he got around to microwaving leftovers for dinner, a handful of replies had already come in. "Congrats, man. I have that skirt in 4 different colors. Told you the twirl factor was real. Welcome to the club. I still remember the relief of finding something that actually fit me too." Rudy read each message with a growing sense of pride. He was doing something new, something that had once felt out of reach. That evening, as he stood in front of his bedroom mirror, He made a silent promise to himself to keep exploring. After all, he'd only tested the waters with a single garment. The next morning, he woke to sunlight streaming through the blinds. He reached for the skirt again, draping it across his bed. A small part of him was tempted to wear it out for a quick coffee run, but he hesitated, unsure how people might react. Instead, he slipped on his standard jeans. Still, the memory of how comfortable the skirt felt lingered. The entire day at work, he found himself anticipating when he could come home and put it on again. That evening, while rummaging in his dresser, he caught himself thinking about how best to style the skirt. A baggy t-shirt? Maybe something more fitted? He had never fussed over outfits before, relying on the tried-and-true simplicity of t-shirts and jeans. But now, the possibilities beckoned. He rummaged through his wardrobe, eventually settling on a slightly snug black t-shirt. In the mirror, the combination felt balanced. The fitted top contrasted nicely with the loose, playful shape of the skirt. He stood there, quietly analyzing the effect, turning left and right. "Not bad," he murmured. He couldn't help but give a half-twirl. The following weekend, he decided to reveal his purchase to a longtime friend, Karina, who was 29. They had known each other since college and had long been each other's sounding board. He texted her, "Need your opinion on something. Mind swinging by?" "Sure," she replied. "Be there in an hour." Rudy spent that hour feeling restless. He arranged some magazines on the coffee table, then, on second thought, shoved them away. He opened the closet mirror and checked his reflection at least 10 times. Ultimately, he decided to greet her in his usual jeans. He wanted to ease into the topic. When Karina arrived, she breezed in with a broad smile. "You look jittery. Are you all right?" Rudy motioned for her to sit. "I've got something different to show you." His mouth felt dry. "I just hope you won't think it's weird." Karina leaned forward, curiosity evident. "Rudy, you know I'm not easily shocked. Lay it on me." With a breath, he pulled the skirt from behind the couch cushion, where he'd stashed it. I bought this. It's a women's skater skirt. Actually tried it on, and it's shockingly comfortable." He paused. "You want to see it on?" Karina's eyes lit up with excitement. "Absolutely," she said, showing not the slightest sign of judgment. "Go for it." He stepped into the bedroom, heart pounding, and swapped his jeans for the skirt. After a quick readjustment of the waistband, he re-emerged. Karina looked him up and down, then grinned. "It actually suits you," she said, nodding in genuine approval. "I like the length, and it's not clashing with your style at all." Rudy let out a shaky laugh. "It's weird how much I enjoy wearing this." Karina shrugged. "Why not enjoy it? It looks good, and if you feel comfortable, that's all that matters." He joined her on the couch, the skirt settling softly over his thighs. "I was so anxious before ordering it, worrying about sizing, brand, all that. But the folks in an online forum recommended this exact one. They were right. It's easy to move around in, it's not too short, and the material's decent for the price." Karina leaned back, her posture relaxed. "I can't believe you were scared I'd freak out. I mean, come on, you know me." He offered a sheepish grin. "Yeah, you're right. It's such a new thing. Not exactly something I ever considered until recently." Karina's voice softened. "Well, I'm happy for you, and I'm flattered you wanted my opinion." They spent the afternoon talking about mundane life updates, her job at a local art studio, the new cafe that just opened down the street. But the conversation kept turning back to the skirt. She asked him how it felt to move in it. He did a little demonstration, half laughing at how the fabric swayed. She teased him about the possibility of swirling it too aggressively and flashing the neighbors, which made him flush. But it was all in good humor. Later, Karina asked if he had thought about wearing it out in public. Rudy froze for a moment. "I haven't fully decided. Part of me wants to, just to see how it feels walking around. Another part of me is really nervous. I'm sure people would stare. Karina tapped her chin thoughtfully. What if we picked a quiet spot? Maybe that little park near my place. We could just stroll around. If you feel too nervous, you can always change back. Rudy's pulse sped up at the idea. I might take you up on that, he said slowly, but give me a bit of time to work up the nerve. Karina smiled. No rush. The offer's open. A few days later, after work, Rudy decided to check the brand's website again. The skirt had been such a success. Maybe he'd order another color. The online forum was brimming with people praising the item, sharing pictures of themselves wearing different variations. He found himself smiling at the sense of camaraderie. Searching through the brand store, he saw a black skirt with tiny white polka dots that looked equally appealing. He read a handful of reviews. Same flexible fit as the navy one, wrote one user. It's just a bit more playful in design. After a moment of hesitation, Rudy added it to his cart. He closed the tab, exhaling. This is becoming a thing, he told himself with an amused shake of his head. That Saturday, Milo dropped by unannounced. Rudy had just gotten home from grocery shopping, wearing cargo shorts and a wrinkled shirt. Milo plopped onto the couch, rummaging through his phone. By the way, Milo said, glancing up, you never told me how that skirt ended up working out. You tried it on and liked it, right? Rudy set down his grocery bags, leaning against the kitchen counter. Loved it, actually. He rubbed the back of his neck. I even showed Karina. She said it suits me. Milo snapped his fingers. All right, enough talk. Let's see it. With a small laugh, Rudy obliged. He went into his room and changed into the navy skirt, pairing it with a simple gray t-shirt. When he returned, Milo regarded him thoughtfully. That's awesome, Milo said. There was a hint of admiration in his tone. It looks comfortable. It is, Rudy replied. He did a quick pivot, feeling the skirt flare. It's also kind of fun. Hard to explain until you wear one. Milo chuckled. I'll take your word for it, but who knows? Maybe I'll try one someday. He paused. Are you planning to wear it outside at all? Rudy shrugged, repeating the same uncertainty he had confessed to Karina. I want to, but I keep picturing all these stares. Milo pursed his lips. It's true. Some people might stare, but a lot of folks won't even care. You could always pick a low-key time, maybe a weeknight, to wander around the block for a bit. Rudy nodded. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Then, with a wry grin, he added, baby steps. A few days turned into a week. The polka-dotted skirt arrived, and now he had two. Rudy's curiosity about wearing them outside grew. The promise he had made to Karina nudged him. A quiet spot, no big crowds. Finally, on a sunlit Sunday morning, he texted her. Feel like heading to that park? Might try wearing the skirt. Not sure, but I'm leaning toward it. She replied almost immediately. Yes, let's do it. I'll drive us. Meet me at my place around 10? When Rudy arrived at Karina's apartment, he was dressed in jeans, but the navy skirt was tucked into his backpack. She answered the door wearing sneakers, leggings, and a loose tank top. You ready? She asked, keys in hand. As I'll ever be, he answered with a half smile. The drive to the park felt surreal. Rudy's heart thumped as he clutched his backpack with sweaty palms. It was one thing to wear the skirt inside his apartment or among friends. It was a whole other step to stroll around a public space. Karina parked near a secluded corner of the park, where a small grove of trees and a walking path offered some privacy. The morning light filtered through the leaves, painting patterns on the ground. He quickly changed in the back seat of her car, feeling an odd mix of excitement and nervousness. When he emerged in the skirt, Karina gave him a quick thumbs up. No one's even watching, she whispered. It's a quiet morning, and you look fine. They started walking. The first minutes were nerve-wracking. Rudy could practically hear every rustle of fabric, was hyper-aware of every footstep. A couple of joggers passed by, but none gave him so much as a second glance. A mother pushing a stroller barely looked up, too focused on her phone. Karina nudged him. "See? Not so bad, is it?" Rudy let out a shaky exhale. "I guess I was imagining like crowd staring, but everyone's minding their own business." They meandered along the path, stopping occasionally to admire the neatly trimmed flower beds. The gentle breeze brushed against Rudy's legs, and he felt the skirt sway. That sensation grounded him in the present moment. It felt comfortable, almost liberating. They reached a bench by a small duck pond and sat down. Two elderly ladies walked by, chatting animatedly in a language Rudy didn't recognize. Neither gave him any startled look or whisper. Karina patted his shoulder. "This is progress." Rudy grinned. "Yeah, it's nice, actually." He paused to watch a few ducks gliding across the water. "I could get used to this." They stayed in the park for nearly an hour, making easy conversation, enjoying the sunshine. After a while, Rudy almost forgot about the skirt. It simply felt like part of his outfit. Even heading back to the parking lot, he felt a sense of calm. When he finally slid back into the passenger seat, he let out a contented sigh. "Thanks for coming with me," he told Karina, meeting her gaze gratefully. "Anytime," she replied, turning the ignition. "I'm proud of you." Back home, Rudy replayed the outing in his head. It felt momentous. He'd taken a step outside in a skirt, and the world hadn't crumbled. He decided to share the experience on the forum, writing a post that read, "Went out to a local park in my new skirt today. Felt nervous at first, but it turned out great. Hardly anyone seemed to notice or care, and I was surprisingly comfortable. Highly recommend this if you're thinking about trying it." Replies flooded in. "Yes, this is what it's all about, man," one user wrote. Another chimed in, "The park was my first outing too. Congrats on the milestone." Reading through these comments, Rudy felt a pleasant warmth building inside. He had leaped over another personal hurdle. The next few weeks brought small, incremental changes in Rudy's life. He found that he spent more of his downtime reading about various skirt styles. He ventured into articles about fabrics, lengths, waistbands. He even discovered that some people preferred wearing leggings or tights with their skirts for cooler weather. Autumn was approaching after all. Occasionally he'd rummage through his closet, placing the skirt next to his jeans, wondering what outfit combinations he might wear in the coming weeks. One Saturday, he decided to push the boundaries a little more. He wore his navy skirt to a small, casual gathering at Milo's apartment. Milo was hosting a handful of friends, all adults in their late 20s or early 30s, for a board game night. Rudy texted him beforehand. "Thinking about wearing the skirt. That cool?" "Of course," came Milo's quick reply, punctuated by a smiley face. "The group is chill. They won't mind." Rudy's stomach fluttered as he approached Milo's front door in the skirt, this time paired with a fitted hoodie and sneakers. A friend named Gabriel opened the door. "Hey, man," Gabriel said, pulling him in for a casual handshake. His eyes flicked momentarily downward at Rudy's outfit, and then a broad smile spread across his face. "Looking sharp." Rudy felt relief flood through him. Inside, the group was indeed chill. Sarah and Devin were unloading takeout containers on the dining table. Jana, another friend from Milo's office, was setting up the board game in the living room. Each greeted Rudy with warmth, none showing the slightest negativity about his attire. Throughout the evening, they joked, argued about board game rules, devoured takeout, and shared random stories. The skirt quickly became a non-issue, blending seamlessly into the night. At one point, Jana, after taking her turn in the game, commented, "That skirt's super cute. Where'd you get it?" Rudy explained the online brand, mentioning the helpful size chart. She nodded enthusiastically. "I have a couple of skater skirts from that site. Really comfortable." That was all. The conversation moved on, and Rudy realized just how normal it felt. By the end of the night, he left Milo's place with an even deeper sense of ease. A few days later, he found himself in a light-hearted conversation with another forum member, Bianca, via private messages. They discussed how they each discovered cross-dressing. Bianca lived across the country, but they bonded over the brand of the same skirt. She recommended Rudy try layering it with different tops, a sweater for cooler days, maybe a belt to accentuate the waistline. Rudy noted her ideas, thanking her for the tips. One evening, Karina and Rudy ended up video calling. She was painting something for her art studio project, wearing a smock, while Rudy was wearing his polka dot skirt at home. Mid-call, Karina's eyes lit up. "I just realized, I never saw that dotted one in person. I like it." Rudy chuckled. "Yeah, it's the second one I bought. Very similar fit, but with a bit more flair." Karina set her brush down and studied the screen. "What's next, you think? Are you going to branch out into different skirt styles?" He pondered that, tapping a pen against his chin. "Maybe. I've seen some people talk about pencil skirts or maxi skirts, but I kind of like the freedom of the skater design. That A-line shape is forgiving and easy to move around in." Karina nodded. "I could see you in a knee-length flowy skirt, something breezy for weekends." "Yeah, maybe I'll look for one," Rudy said, the corner of his mouth quirking up. "Though for now, these 2 skater skirts are enough." As the weeks rolled by, Rudy started to reflect on how this garment had subtly shifted his perspective. He found himself paying more attention to the details of clothing in general, noticing textures, patterns, how an outfit could be put together in creative ways. He used to pick t-shirts based purely on whether they had the right size or color, but now he found himself considering how a shirt's fit would work with the silhouette of a skirt. He also noticed small confidence boosts in everyday situations, whether it was the excitement of having expanded his wardrobe or simply the comfort of embracing something new. It seemed to carry over into his daily life. Even at work, while wearing his usual business casual attire, he felt steadier interacting with others. The knowledge that he could try a different look at home and enjoy it somehow freed him from certain worries. He never used to care about posture or how he presented himself, but now he stood a little taller, shoulders back. One Friday night, he visited Karina at her art studio after hours. She was finishing a mural for a local cafe. Rudy offered to help clean up. He had worn his navy skirt again, along with a comfortable sweater. The door to the studio remained locked, so no strangers interrupted them. As they worked, Karina handed him a paintbrush. "Mind touching up the corner of that mural?" "Sure," he replied, stepping lightly around paint cans. The swirl of the skirt at his knees felt natural now. While he filled in small details on the mural, a swirl of coffee steam, a leaf pattern, Karina snapped a quick photo with her phone. He turned, eyebrows raised. "Sneaking pictures?" She smirked. "It's just for me, to document our progress. You look happy, that's all." Rudy swallowed a lump in his throat. He couldn't deny that something about this new chapter in his life did make him feel content. It wasn't about shock value or making a statement. It was about the everyday ease of wearing what he liked, even if it was a simple poly-blend skater skirt. He found meaning in the small details, like the way the fabric caught the light, or how stepping around paint cans felt simpler with a flowy bottom. It was so ordinary, and yet so different from what he'd always known. Later that evening, once they'd cleaned up the studio, they both sank onto an old couch near the back, exhausted but satisfied. The air smelled faintly of acrylic paint. Karina rested her head against the cushions. "You planning on writing another review on that forum?" Rudy closed his eyes, leaning back as well. "Maybe. I've posted a couple of updates, but I was thinking of doing a more thorough write-up." Like a review? Kind of, he said, straightening. There are new folks who show up on the forum every day, asking the same questions I had. Which skirt to try first? How do you size it? What's the best brand? Maybe I can do a step-by-step of my experience, from measuring my waist to wearing it out in public. Karina grinned, brushing a stray paint fleck from her cheek. I bet it would help a lot of people. Not everyone has someone to reassure them it's going to be okay. Rudy's chest warmed at the thought. You know, I might just do that. He did so the following Sunday, carving out a chunk of time in the morning to write. He composed a detailed post. My journey with the skater skirt, brand X, women's XL for a men's 34 waist. He recapped everything, how nervous he'd felt checking the size chart, the relief when it fit, the length that hit just above his knees, the swirl of the material. He even recounted his park adventure with Karina. Then he offered tips on what shirts had worked for him, how to measure accurately, and a note on how the skirt felt airy, yet sturdy enough for daily wear. He ended with a simple recommendation. If you're curious or unsure, this is a fantastic starter piece, affordable, comfortable, and widely available. Highly recommended for beginners. Just pay attention to the size chart and be ready for that unexpected twirl factor. Once he clicked submit, he felt a subtle rush of accomplishment. Within hours, the replies started rolling in, echoing how first-time buyers appreciated such a detailed write-up. Some people chimed in with their own experiences, either confirming his comments or asking about color options. Rudy tried to answer each question thoughtfully. He realized he was one link in a chain of many people who had gone through the same process, offering reassurance to newcomers. A few weeks after posting his detailed review, he met Bianca via video call. She wanted to show him a new outfit she'd bought, a denim jacket paired with a black skater skirt, ironically the same brand. They laughed at how they were now matching from different corners of the country. She also teased him about how he might venture into different silhouettes. I think you'd rock a nice knee-length A-line with a subtle print, she remarked. He nodded, mentally filing that away. I'll keep an eye out. Right now, though, these two skater skirts are serving me just fine. They're so easy. Easy is key, she agreed. I started with a skater skirt too. Couldn't believe how well it flattered my figure. The conversation meandered into everyday updates, work, random hobbies, the upcoming holiday season. After the call ended, Rudy found himself reflecting once more on how quickly life had changed since he first hesitantly clicked order on that navy skirt. He'd come a long way in just a couple of months. A new routine emerged for him. After he got home from the office, he'd shower and often slip into one of his skirts while cooking or relaxing with a book. It was so unobtrusive, so comfortable, that he sometimes forgot to change if a friend popped by spontaneously. And no one made a big deal of it anymore. His little circle of friends accepted it as part of who he was. The novelty had worn off, leaving behind the simple truth that, for him, wearing a skirt was normal. On a breezy Friday night, he invited Milo, Karina, and a couple of others over for a small get-together. He served homemade pizza, courtesy of a recipe he'd found online. Everyone lounged around in his living room, the windows cracked open to let in the crisp night air. Rudy wore the dotted skirt, and Karina even joked, "We're going to have to get you a matching top for that one." At some point, Milo asked, "Hey, are you planning to expand your skirt collection?" Rudy took a bite of pizza, then chewed thoughtfully. "Probably. There's a few other items that have caught my eye, but the skater design is perfect for casual wear. It's adaptable, and a big part of me likes how it's basically become my go-to weekend outfit." Later that evening, as they all said goodnight and trickled out the door, Karina lingered behind for a moment. "Proud of you," she said simply, her voice steady. Rudy gave a small laugh. "You've said that before." I mean it every time, she replied with a warm smile. That night, as Rudy turned out the lights, he thought about how one small step, ordering a skirt online, had rippled through so many parts of his life. It was a piece of clothing, but it had also opened up new friendships, deeper conversations, and a sense of everyday confidence. Even so, he didn't feel compelled to make a fuss about it to the wider world. He was happy enough just discovering new combinations, new possibilities, in his own personal way. The next morning, he wrote one last follow-up post on the forum, giving an official review of the skirt. Final thoughts on the Brand X skater skirt. Sizing. For my 34-inch waist, the XL was the perfect choice. The elastic band gave just enough flexibility without feeling tight. Length. Right above the knee. Not too short, not too long. Ideal if you're a bit concerned about coverage. Fabric. Poly blend. Affordable. Not too thin. And has that nice swish factor when you walk or twirl. Versatility. Pairs nicely with fitted or slightly loose t-shirts, sweaters, or hoodies. Works with sneakers or sandals. Confidence factor. Wearing it around the house is easy. If you're curious about going out, start somewhere quiet with a supportive friend. You'll be surprised at how few people actually pay attention. Recommendation. A perfect starter skirt if you're new to this. It gave me a major lift, more than I expected from a piece of clothing. If anyone's on the fence, I say go for it. This brand's consistent sizing chart takes away much of the guesswork, and the final product is exactly as advertised. Hope this helps the next person scrolling through these threads in search of their first skirt. You never know. This might become your favorite weekend outfit. It certainly has become mine. He clicked post, then closed his laptop. The sun was shining through his living room window, illuminating the navy skirt lying folded neatly on a chair. Outside, the leaves were starting to shift colors. It was a new season in more ways than one, and Rudy was ready to meet it, his mind already drifting to the thought of layering the skirt with tights on cooler days. He smiled, running a hand over the textured seam. In the end, it really was just clothing, but he'd come to appreciate that sometimes the simplest changes in your wardrobe could open a whole new realm of possibility, and for him, that poly blend skater skirt was a perfect beginning.
Did you like the story? Hit that like button and tell me what you thought in the comments. Do you want to hear more stories? Subscribe and hit the bell. For exclusive content and early access, check out our Patreon. You can find the link in the description, or you can watch any of the videos shown on my right. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.